I picked up this hammer the other day. I spent way more time than I needed to thinking about getting it. And the biggest option I was weighing was, what's the cost of my time? And is there anything gained in doing something with your hands physically versus an easier route? And I mean, I didn't frame this house. So I say that in, not as a framer, but I've got some stuff to do around this house in building it that require a hammer, a framing hammer specifically. We've got some blocking to do. We've got to put in 30 plus hurricane ties and framing to do downstairs. And as I've been using this hammer, I'm just reminded of that time in the hardware store of making that decision of, do I buy a nail gun that'll get something done really, really quickly, like way faster than hammering every single nail? Or do I choose the manual route? And I feel like in society today, we're always presented with these options. We're just kind of bombarded with options that make life easier for us. And obviously, if you're in the trade of framing and you need to be efficient, then that makes sense. Well, like I said, I'm not a framer, but I really like working with my hands. And so the thought that I'm having in the hardware store is, would I miss something or lose something if I didn't go with a hammer, a framing hammer? And so this is a 22-ounce Milwaukee framing hammer. Nothing overly special about it. It's fairly light and it hammers nails. That's what it does. It does it well, but I've got to swing it 3, 4, 5 plus times sometimes just to get a nail in versus the quick and easy route. And that's the thought that's in my mind in life right now is, what do we miss and what do we lose when we take the quick and easy route versus the route that may take more time, that may take more effort? And I feel like we live in a society now where we try to minimize our struggle. We minimize challenge. We minimize growth, ultimately, because growth really comes through struggle and through challenge and through difficult times. This is harder to use. And I'm nailing through hurricane ties and truss plates. That's metal. I don't get every single one in. So the efficiency, I think, is maybe not the greatest, but I am learning how to use a new tool. I am getting stronger. My grip strength has increased as a result of this. But more than that, there's just this deep sense of satisfaction that I get from hammering nails in. And I don't know if it's a guy thing or just a human thing, but there's something that I missed about working with my hands. There was this period of time in my 20s where I'd be working with my body and with my hands all the time. I worked on an organic farm for almost 2 years, and then I managed an urban farm for 3 or 4 more years after that, and then did programming where I was just always outside, always moving, building things, using my body. And then I sat at a desk after that because I got this job that was 100% remote. It was a real blessing. I got to work from home, but I never experienced back pain that bad until I stopped using my body and I started sitting down more. And so in purchasing this hammer, it's just a reminder of the value that you get from working with your hands and how easy it is to overlook the harder option sometimes. The option that's going to take effort, that option that's going to be more frustrating, the option that's going to be more challenging, the option that's going to test you, the option that's going to ultimately strengthen you and grow you. It's easier to skip that because today, with the options that exist out there in terms of, building materials, but in terms of just the problems that people face, there's a product that addresses the challenge that you have. And if you fork over enough money, you can have somebody solve that problem for you. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not against capitalism at all. But there is something to be said about not growing, choosing an option that might be easier for you. And the cost of that is not just the money that's out of your pocket, but the experience that you don't get to have as a result of taking the easier route. I've been thinking a lot recently about GPS. I grew up in a world without GPS. Before it really became a thing, it started with the first ones were these large units in your car that were totally separate from your phone. Now you can't escape GPS. It's in everything that we have. The other day I was trying to find my phone using the Find My Phone function, and my AirPods showed up on that. I didn't even know that. Like, my AirPods have GPS in them. That's anyway. I don't know if I consented that Apple, but anyway, I appreciate the convenience. And this is the whole point, is that we have conveniences that are given to us, but there is always a cost to convenience. And we might not always see it. We might not always think about it, but that convenience, that easier solution does cost us something. And so to finish the thought on the GPS is, I grew up needing to use MapQuest. That was the tool of the time, or a physical map. And you say, tell me what your name of your street is. You look on the index in the back. All right, it's going to be in grid C17, or find your house. And then I map my way to my friend's house. And then MapQuest online came, where it was like, all right, I wrote down on a sticky note, turn right on this street, left on that street. But if you make a wrong turn, you're out in the wild. You got to figure it out on your own. You have to use your brain. You have to pay attention. And then as the GPS got better and better and more convenient and more readily available, now you just, with a magnet, clip it to your car and then just drive. And you're just staring at this thing and it's telling you to turn right, turn left, and you don't even know where you're going. At least that's the case for me. My spatial awareness has just decreased dramatically. But now if I'm in a new place, I'll almost try and intentionally not use the GPS, or use it more as a traditional map so that I'm spatially aware, at least. But not all the time. I'd say many times I'm fully and totally reliant on my phone or my GPS to navigate me places. And so there's a cost to that. And so the point that I'm trying to make here is, how often do you choose the harder thing? How often do you choose the more difficult path? And in choosing the easier path, what are you missing? In what ways are you not growing? In what ways are you stagnating? In what ways are you regressing? And is it time to change that?